I'm Misha Hadaway, CEO and owner of Gentle Mama Counseling, and you're tuned into Ladies Power Lunch.
Hi, I'm Nadine Keller, CEO of Precision Sales Coaching and Training, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Debbie Sodergren, the CEO of Up Vibrations, and you are plugged into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Christy Sullivan, human design expert, author, and speaker, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Keisha Zullo, president of Events of Joy, and you're tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Mary Colangelo. I'm an international fashion therapist, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm LaQuisha Clemens, the CEO of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness. You are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Kiana Coachman Strickland, also known as DJ Q Boogie. I'm the founder of Female DJ Association, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life show. Today, we have some amazing special guests, and we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is so important to all of us. We're talking about speaking, connecting, and succeeding in our business. The actual formula for authentic growth. I mean, there's so many people who say so many things and there's so much information that's out there, but what is it that really is going to move our businesses forward? If we strip away all of the information that's not necessary, what is it that we need to know? Well, great news. We have some amazing guests with us today. Firstly, our co-host today and guest host is Shannon Daniels, friend to the show. Those of you who watch us all the time, you have come to know and love her. And then we have some experts who have just taken time out of their super busy schedules to share their gifts and talents with us. We have Michelle coming all the way from Canada to join us right here in the Ladies Power Lunch Studios. No, not really. And Lindsay Potter, who is an amazing, amazing friend of Shannon. So this is going to be outstanding. I can't wait. But before we dive into what it takes to speak, connect, and succeed, and what the formula for authentic growth really is, and my hope is that you leave here with some, like taking some notes and really making some plans to implement some things into your business so that you can over the next few weeks see some improvement in things that are not going as well for you. But before we dive into that, I just want to say that this is the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life TV show. In addition to hosting this TV show, which is also a podcast, I host an amazing group of women called Ladies Power Lunch. What's Ladies Power Lunch? Well, it's basically a group of women who have come together, who have linked arms, who realize that when we support each other, everybody wins. That idea of the rising tide lifting all the boats, it's actually true. And we see it every day in our group. Great news. You're invited to come be a member. And it's so, so easy. All you have to do is go to growsmarternotharder.com/login because we're already working really hard. If you are anything like me, and if you're watching, I'm pretty sure you are, you're already doing a whole lot. And so if you could actually grow in a smarter way and not have to work harder, then that's going to be the way to go. So go to growsmarternotharder.com/login, join our community of amazing women, and lend your efforts to seeing all of us grow. Thank you so much for being here. So I just want to give everybody an opportunity to very briefly say who you are and a very, very tiny bit about what it is that you do so that folks who are watching along, they can say, okay, well, I have a business like this person, or I have a business like this other person, or I can see how what I do would fit in with what's being discussed today. So Marianne, may I invite you to unmute and just share with the group who you are, what you do, and very concisely, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marianne Pack. I am in Texas, and I am so happy to be here. I am a spiritual medium, an author, and a publisher. So I just want to introduce you all, if you haven't seen it. This is our newest baby. It's a collaboration from women in Ladies Power Lunch. So be sure and get that. And I'm just so happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marianne. And Dr. Tanya, would you share who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Tanya English, also known as the Soul Chiropractor, because I help people get unstuck from their old stories and grief that are keeping them from living the life they really want. We want to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, not pitch a tent and live there. And when we do that, we can find treasure in tragedy.
I love that. That's beautiful. We are going to invite our guests to be introduced in just a moment, but we still have a couple of people here on the call with us. So Nadine, would you share with everybody who you are and what you do? And if you feel like using alliteration to do that, we welcome that.
I don't think I'll do alliteration today. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nadine Mullings with Nadine Mullings Marketing Agency, and I help women business owners who may be struggling to market and promote their book, their business, or their brand. So if they're struggling to get the word out there with the agency, we really help them to reach the people that they're called to serve with ease and flow. Nadine Mullings with Nadine Mullings Marketing Agency.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know Cindy's on with us, and Cindy is amazing. She has a company that does video game parties. So if you have kids who have birthdays, reach out to Cindy. She might be able to help you, and she might actually have other tips that she can help you to make your little one's day very special. All right, so thank you everybody for joining in, and I want to say special hello to folks who are joining us on the replay. So if you're joining us on our podcast, on YouTube, on Win Win Woman, on Fire TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, welcome. Thanks for being here. And I know it doesn't mean so much to you because it's so easy to do, but if you're able to leave us a like, a subscribe, a comment, it means everything to us. So please do all of that. And of course, you're welcome to join us at Ladies Power Lunch. Just go to growsmarternotharder.com/login, and that's how you become one of our members. All right, I want to hand off to my dear friend and soon to be your favorite person, Shannon Daniels. Shannon is a powerhouse. She's a tech entrepreneur. She teaches folks how to express themselves in a way that actually gets clients. She is a guru when it comes to speaking and communications. She's been a teacher in Ivy League institutions. She is outstanding in her field. And today she's here to share with us, how is it that we're going to be able to speak, connect, and succeed? What exactly is the formula for authentic growth? Shannon, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Davia. I'm not going to take extra time to introduce myself because, wow, I got teary-eyed over here with all those nice things you said. So thank you very much. And it's an absolute pleasure to be back here with you and the entire Ladies Power Lunch community, which is a fantastic community of women helping women. And we even have some men that are in there with us as advocates. So it's really just an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited to talk with you about one of my favorite topics, which is authenticity and how you can show up as your authentic self to speak, connect, succeed, all of those great things in business and in life. And I have two amazing guests here with me today, as Divya mentioned. I'm just going to take a quick moment to introduce them before we kick off the conversation. First, I would like to introduce Michelle Abraham. Michelle is the High Vibe Connector. She is an award-winning podcast expert. She's a speaker, and she's also the founder of Amplify You and the High Vibe Leaders Podcast Network. Michelle has over 12 years experience in podcasting and 19 years as an entrepreneur. And she leverages this experience to help leaders amplify their voice, their visibility, and their impact. And she does all of this, mind you, while living off the grid on a lake in Canada and running a 7-figure business. And she gets to do this because she lives in such a wonderful place while embracing freedom and adventure. Michelle is also a sought-after speaker. She's been featured in Entrepreneur and Forbes. She co-hosts Podapalooza and is Speakers Making Waves. And she's really, at the end of the day, passionate about guiding change makers to profit from their visibility and building thriving businesses through podcasting, masterminds, and retreats. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. I would also like to introduce Lindsay Potter. Lindsay is someone I met about a year ago. She is just absolutely amazing. She participated in one of our Drop the Mic Night events, the very first one actually, and just did a phenomenal job sharing her story and inspiring everybody. She is, when I was thinking of who to bring on with this show, I of course thought of her and wanted Lindsay to join me for this. Lindsay is the founder of the Confidence Edge, and she is a confidence and mental performance coach. What that really means is she specializes in helping teen athletes build resilience and focus and that unshakable confidence they need both in sports and in life. Lindsay is a former collegiate All-American and Hall of Fame athlete, and she combines her experience as a high-level competitor, youth coach, and certified mindset coach to really equip those young athletes that she's working with the mental tools that they need to thrive under pressure. She's also a podcaster, and she's the host of the Confidence Edge podcast, where she shares insights on mindset, performance, and personal growth. So welcome, Lindsay, and thank you for being here as well.
Thank you, Shannon.
Without further ado, we're going to hop right in. This is going to be very conversational today. We're not going to be doing a presentation to you. We're going to be having a discussion. So if you have questions or comments, drop them in for us. Let us know, get involved. And we're really just going to see where this conversation takes us about authenticity and confidence and really helping that to grow your business smarter, not harder. And at the end of the day, when we think about authenticity, I think it's really important because this is a buzzword, right? It was the word of the year in 2023, right? Authentic was the word of the year. So it's this buzzword that's been around a lot. And so I really want to start out by asking both of you to share what authenticity means to you. What does that word mean when you hear the word authenticity? Lindsay, we'll start with you and we'll come over to you, Michelle.
Hi, great. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and to meet all of you. It's funny because the talk that I did at Drop the Mic was all about being your authentic self and living your truth. I'm in my late 40s currently. I spent the majority of my career, I would say, on a hamster wheel. I was on a hamster wheel of go, 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 and always loved what I was doing, but I never really was intentional about the work. It wasn't as if I premeditated, this is what I want to go into. And I went into it after leaving college as a high-level athlete. I went straight into New York City in advertising. And again, just had great opportunity after great opportunity, but that hamster wheel of go, 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 I never really slowed down until I had my 2 kids. And I was in the startup world in marketing before I got into coaching. And I quickly realized just before COVID that I was burnt out and that I wasn't taking any time for myself and that I really was disconnected with who I am. So I started working with people like Dr. Tanya and Marianne and meeting people like Shannon and immersing myself in my own healing journey, which is what people call it. I started about 4 years ago, and I have never been more grateful. I started meditating. It's my dog. Sorry. I started meditation, something that I never thought I could do, to be honest. I was one of those people who said, oh, I could never sit still and with quiet. I needed something always stimulating me from the outside, which didn't seem crazy until I started meditating and realized I've never sat with my own thoughts. And that really shifted things for me. That was 2.5 years ago. And long story short, a lot of small habits started to change pretty quickly. So I cut alcohol out of my life. I never had a problem with it, thank God, but I really realized how it was holding me back. I started my own business. I started digging into coaching because I've always been a coach on the side. And I have a deep, deep love and appreciation for the coaches that have shaped me. And now I get to do this for kids. I have a marketing background, so I'm taking all of that experience into this coaching journey. And the podcasting has always been a dream of mine to have my own show. I started my own show 2 years ago. It was called Constantly Curious. I was interviewing entrepreneurs about the entrepreneurship journey as well, because it can be a lonely one. And I was lonely. And I had always led teams until I didn't. And I was at home alone. And so Constantly Curious was a way to connect with women like you, share stories. And now that I'm in this work, I've shifted into the confidence edge, but I have never felt more aligned. And I will attribute it to doing that healing inner work. So it's waking up every day and practicing gratitude. Every night before bed, I practice gratitude again. I reflect on the day, and it takes 2 minutes, and I was never doing it. And it has completely changed the way I look at the world around me. I really do believe that people can change habits. I'm still always who I have been in my heart and soul, but my habits are totally different. I'm a better person for it. I'm a better mother. I have a 14 and 12-year-old. I'm a better partner to my husband. Much more open and communicative and generally happier because I am driven to do something that lights me up inside and help people. And it's led me to places like this. I would never be in this group. And I'm so, so grateful to be here. I wrote it in my journal last night. I'm grateful for Shannon and for this group of women I get to meet tomorrow. So again, thank you for being here. But to me, authenticity means truly doing the work that is aligned with who you are as a person. And it takes work to figure out what that is for some of us. For some, my husband's been teaching English and he directs theater for his entire life. He knew what he wanted to do when he was 17, and every day he gets better at it. It is who he is as a person. And living with someone like that, it's hard to not want that for yourself. So thank you for listening. And it's such a treat to be here.
Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. That's beautiful. And I think that's a great point. We don't all just know who we are at the outset, right? It takes work. It's a journey. And sometimes, not sometimes, we always are evolving and growing as a person. And so
Always.
how we see ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we lean into who we are as a person is going to change and evolve as well. So it's important that we understand that it's a journey. It's not just I'm this and I'm always this. There are transitions and phases in life that we go through, and that self-discovery is so important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
What about you,
it's all
Michelle?
about self-belief too. Sorry, but believing in yourself is step number one, which can be hard some days, but that's
Yeah.
why the gratitude practice helps. It always brings you back to what's important.
I love it. Absolutely. How about you, Michelle? What does authenticity mean to you? What does that look like in your world?
Oh my gosh. Well, seeing as we help people use their voices to get their message out there in the world, authenticity really for me is like unlocking those voice codes you have, and your voice carries a frequency that has the power to change your own life and others' lives as well. And, very similar to Lindsay's story, I'm in my mid 40s as well. I have kids that are 9 and 12, and, you go through phases in life and stages in life. And, one of the things that I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've always, had a mission and to go out and do my own thing and, really help raise people's vibration and help them be in more alignment with their true selves. And I got out of alignment myself just about a year and a half ago. I was in a business, doing a business I absolutely love, but the way I was conducting myself in that business, I was in the weeds, and I feel a little bit more, I get a little bit, it feels heavy when I'm in the weeds. Let's just put it that way. I'm managing team members and managing all the details and things. And so that business felt out of alignment for me. So luckily my brother could take over as CEO, and I was able to step away a little while. And as I stepped away, the download for the High Vibe Leaders program came to me. And so that really is something I think it takes courage to step away from something to get back in alignment. But that alignment is how you stay authentic and how you can keep that authenticity alive in you. And when you're alive and you're feeling aligned and you're feeling good, that just vibrates out into the world, and it makes a bigger impact that you're here to make. And so I think, really has everything to do with just keeping check with yourself. Is this alignment with me? Does this feel good to me? Because when it's not, it can be felt, right? It's not only by yourself, but by the others that you're helping or supporting or speaking into your podcast out into the waves that ripples out into there. So just that whole alignment piece to me is so important when it comes to your authenticity. And there's so much inauthenticity out there in the world that when you feel like you're in authenticity with yourself and others, it just feels like you're unstoppable. And it's you get into that motion and get into that action. At Amplify You, we have a saying that podcasting is evolving out loud. And so some of the things that we coach our clients on is just get into action by speaking, using your voice, and that action of pressing record and getting going helps you with the clarity, it helps you with confidence, and it helps you keeping with that authenticity. So that's what I think about authenticity. It's really unlocking the frequency of your code, of your voice, for more impact and more abundance. And it just, there's these codes that you have here that are ready to be unlocked and unleashed into the world. And when you do that, you're unstoppable.
I think that's beautiful. And I'm seeing a theme here in both responses, right? Is that it's evolving, it's changing. You have to put yourself out there and not be afraid of that self-discovery process and falling down and maybe going, that's not quite right, but this feels better. And I like this, but this is this. And I also loved how you talked about just letting go of something that's not serving you so that you can focus on what is serving you, right? What's important in your life and in your business. And like you said, letting go of that business that felt overwhelming to you led you to where you are now today with what you're doing. And so I think that's a beautiful share. I have a similar journey of that. I started in the corporate world when I was 19 years old and did the whole ladder climbing thing because that's what I had been taught was the way to grow and develop and be successful in business. And I did that. I was young and I was making six figures and I was in senior level roles and executive roles. And I just got burnt out and unhappy. I felt like I was never quite in the right place, but I just kept plugging along. And it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur that I realized, hey, this is where I'm meant to be. I'm a bit of a misfit. I don't like conforming. I like standing out. And that was my first step into who I am as a person, but it still wasn't quite landing. I was giving presentations as a way to build my business. And people would say, oh my gosh, you're a fantastic presenter. I want to present like you someday. And I was like, great, I can help you with that. But it wasn't converting to anything because I was being that version of myself that corporate had boxed me into being. Talk this way, dress this way, stand this way, move this way, use these words, not those words. And it was this struggle because people thought I was great at what I was doing, but they didn't see me because I wasn't showing up as me. And I finally said, you know what? I'm goofy. I'm weird. I'm awkward. I talk with my hands way too much. Ask me about throwing a clicker across the room at MasterCard in front of hundreds of people. That's a fun story from too much gesturing. But I said, you know what? I'm at this phase where it's either make it or break it. I'm going to go back to the corporate world, which for me was not where I wanted to be. I never felt like I fit in there, or I have to make it work. And so I just said, screw it. I don't dress like this. I don't talk like this. I want to be the same person in front of an audience or in front of a client that I am when I'm at home with my friends or my husband. Now, you're not saying the same exact things, obviously, but I wanted to show up as the same person at the end of the day. And so I stripped away all those habits that I had developed, that box I'd been put in, and started showing up as myself, and everything changed. And here I am 10 years later, still doing this. And so that for me is the power of authenticity. It's showing up as who you are, no matter what situation that you're in, whether it's in front of a room with 1,000 people, online, doing something like this, or sitting down and having a coffee with someone, staying true to who you are and sharing your voice and your perspective, your passions, your purpose. That's what's really important at the end of the day, in my opinion, when it comes to authenticity. It's just being the real you, no matter how scary that might be. And I'd love to throw this back to Lindsay and Michelle as well, because one of the things that I get a lot when I'm coaching people in public speaking and being their authentic selves in their communications is, yeah, but I don't want to turn anybody off. I'm afraid of that if I say this or say it this way, then I might be omitting someone, or some people may think badly of me, or they may not like me, or may not come to my business. And my thing is always, but when you're your authentic self, you're going to attract the right people. It's okay to have haters. It's okay. You're not for everybody, and you don't need to be for everybody. My marketing people in the group, hey, Nadine, know the 80-20 rule, right? You can't be all things to everybody, because then you're not attracting anybody. Your message and who you are and your perspective needs to resonate with the right people. And so they get scared about that. So what advice would each of you give to someone that worries about being too real, turning people away, whether that's on a podcast or in their sports or whatever it is that they may be doing within your realm and your world?
I can answer that, sure. So my perspective is that your weirdness is your superpower. Like your uniqueness is your genius. And the more real you can bring that to the world, the more you're going to attract the right people. And yeah, you're going to turn away some people, but that's what you want. Because as you said before, right? When you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. And then people can't identify that like you're their person, right? So we always share with our podcasters, like the more like you can share about your stories and be more vulnerable, like tell the stories. Like we just shared, Lindsay and I both just shared stories of as being vulnerable and like being burnt out and like, having to realign everything in our businesses. And the more that you can share that, your audience and your people are going to be like, they're going to hear themselves in what you're saying. And, for our podcasters specifically, when you're out there being a podcaster, you're not out there being the expert and being like, do this, do that. You're like, the way a podcast really like can shine, and the way you can shine as a leader is like, hey, everyone, this is me. I'm on this journey. Come along with me. I'm just a few steps ahead, and this is what I'm learning, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm sharing this with you. And when you can do that and come from that place of being the guide, then that changes everything. So it opens up your world to the people that are like, heck yes, like you're my person. Sign me up. Let's go. So it really eliminates a lot of the conversations that you need to even have in sales because people just already know that you're their person and what you've got to offer is like right what they want.
Yeah, I love your weirdness is your superpower. I subscribe to that 1,000%. And it's our uniqueness that sets us apart at the end of the day and really attracts others to what we do without really even having to try. I actually had a client come to me, a corporate client that found me via Google, looked at my website, read what I had to say, watched some of my videos of me speaking, and he heard my message and perspective, and said, when we got on that very first call to discuss working together, said, I just knew that you were going to be the right person after I read your stuff and watched you. And this is more of a formality to make sure I'm right, but they ended up being a big client of mine and having repeat business over and over. And so that's the power of being your authentic self, leaning into your message. Again, you might deter some people, but that's okay. They're probably not the people you want to be working with anyway. You're going to naturally attract and magnetize the right people to you. Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I've experienced, even in these past few years in shifting habits, people don't like when you change because they're not doing the work for themselves to change. And so it's, as they say, your perception of me is a reflection of you. So it's because, that's on them. And so I've always believed that with those people who don't like what you're doing, let them go. As I've been reading the Mel Robbins book, let them go, because you're creating space for the people that need your wisdom, the people that need your good energy, your high vibe. And that's the magic of it too. And as we evolve, our circles start to change. And as we age, our circles start to get smaller and much more meaningful. I'm not a big small talk person. I used to go to parties all the time and I could small talk my way out of anything. And now I really prefer being at home or at someone's house and having deep conversation. That's just where I am in life. And if people aren't into that, then I don't want to really be around them. So again, just creating space for people like you in the world that want to connect on a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like I'm in the same place too, right? They say you can outgrow certain friends and other friends stay with you for life. And it's not that there's anything wrong or the friendship wasn't good, just that you've both changed and your lives have changed. And it's not that you can't reconnect and have connections with those people, whether it's in business or life. It's just that you're in different places. And it means that maybe you're not spending as much time together. And when you do, it looks a little different, right? So I think that's a very good point about all of that. Lindsay, I want to throw this one to you first, and then we'll take it over to Michelle. How has showing up as your authentic self helped you build confidence in your work and in your life? And how has that affected the work that you do with your clients about building confidence in sports and in performance?
Yeah, it's a great question. As a coach, I had hired a coach a few years back when I was really kind of lost. And where do I go now from a marketing career for 15 years as director of marketing to, I don't want to do this anymore. And all of my self-doubt that I was experiencing back then was stemming from really trying to do, it was like square peg round hole, trying to do work that wasn't an extension of who I am or what I'm really genuinely great at. I'm great at coaching. I've coached sports, high school and youth since I was graduated from college. I've always coached sport on the side because I just love the sport that I played in, and I love helping kids love it. And so from there, getting certified I was certified as a life coach first. And I was working with adults first, and I really wasn't marketing myself as a coach as a life coach. I was focused on helping adults pivot in their career because I have pivoted a number of times and always landed successfully. But when it isn't aligned, I would pivot, excuse me. And I realized I'm not marketing myself because there's self-doubt, because this isn't who I am and what I want to do. So once I shifted into being a little bit more niche with the kids, working with teenagers and working with confidence specifically, and giving them the tools. The work that I do is in teaching these kids the tools that they can use, not just for sport, but for school, for friendship, for life, learning how to breathe properly to regulate your nervous system, learning how to shift negative to positive thoughts, learning how to write in a gratitude journal, things like that. My confidence, it's just like, I don't even think about it because it's who I am. It's what I love. And I am so fed by the success of these kids learning these things. I mean, I did a visualization with he's a sophomore in high school the other day, baseball player. And so much came out of this 2-minute it was a 5-minute learning that I did with him. And what he said back to me when I said, what came up for you? I'm just curious. And the things that came up, like the details that he pulled in this visualization, we were doing a visualization about making the baseball team. He was going to try out for a varsity team for the first time and really was nervous, as anyone would be. I remember that like it was yesterday when I was a kid. And it was so beautiful what came up for him. And boys are a little bit different than girls in the work that I do. Girls are much more open and to sharing and being vulnerable. Boys are a little bit more guarded. And he just opened up and he was like, I really see myself getting this, this position on the team. I said, I know you're going to get it. So the confidence comes from doing work that feels so right to me. And I always want to get better at it. So instead of, even down to the little habits, shifting little habits. So at night, I used to watch TV before bed. And over the past few years at night, I'm either watching something that is relevant to growing my business. So how do I become a better coach? Reading about teenagers and anxiety. When we were all teenagers, a very different world, and the anxiety that these kids have from external circumstances, not anxiety disorder from inside, but from the external world, is like unsurmountable these days between social media and, everything. I mean, you all know. So to provide tools to help them alleviate some of that and feel confidence with themselves, because comparison syndrome is very real. And they're not just comparing themselves with their peers like I was as a kid. They're comparing themselves with the world, on social media. And at the end of the day, authenticity is not comparing yourself. So knowing that you are your unique, weird self, and that's a beautiful thing. So that's how I feel about confidence in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love that. And there were several great points that you made there. One about pivoting. And again, this relates back to what Michelle said earlier about being okay to let go of things that aren't serving you, that aren't the right fit. We feel that imposter syndrome. We have all that self-doubt. We have those limiting beliefs, and those often show up when we're not where we're supposed to be. And that's where that resistance comes in. And that directly correlates with our confidence, right? If we're in the right place, doing the right thing and leaning into who we are, that confidence is going to come. And I tell people that all the time. They're worried about confidence in speaking or communication or decisions that they're making when we're working together. And it's like, believe it or not, the more you do it, the more you step into it, and the more you just let down the curtain, open up the kimono, so to speak. Let's not flash anybody, ladies. We're saying this, so to speak. Open it up and let people be vulnerable. Let people in. Share your story. Share your failures. Share your wins. Share your pivots. Those walls that you've hit. Those times where it's worked and those times where it hasn't worked. When we really open up in that way, our confidence soars because we're not faking it. We're just being who we are, and we're sharing ourselves with others.
Yeah, Michelle, you just shared The Anxious Generation, and that book was one of the catalysts for the shift for me into niching down to work with kids, because their generation is really struggling. And if I can do anything as a generation, a few generations above them to help, that's what I want to do. And I'm raising, my kids are teenagers too, so I'm seeing it firsthand with their friends and with them sometimes. And it's just so important to help.
Michelle, I'd like to ask you, feel free to add on to what Lindsay just shared and what I just shared, but I'd also like to ask you why you think authenticity is such a powerful tool in business today. And if you had to leave our viewers with one tip of what they can do to start injecting authenticity into everything they're doing, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. questions. And just to parallel what Lindsay was just saying, yeah, I've got two kids in that same anxious generation category, and it's pretty scary to see what's happening with all the things that is with technology and all that, and how they're communicating with each other through a screen instead of in person, so much more. And that's the same as what we are doing in business too. So how can we bring our authenticity so that it shines through a screen, and so that you can still do all the things that you want to do in this world, but be in total alignment and feel very authentic with what you're bringing to this world and who you're supporting and how you're helping. And part of my burnout story that I was sharing earlier of last year, I got, about a year and a half ago, I got burnt out. Well, when I got back in realignment, some of the tools I used for realignment was actually looking at like, what's my soul aligned business blueprint here? Like, what am I born into this world to bring? What do I want to share? What do I want to leave? What's the impact I want to make? And when I started looking into that, some of the tools that I started using and getting certified in was NLP coaching and timeline therapy, and also hypnotherapy. And some of those things are really cool because you can get rid of those limiting beliefs that are stopping you from moving forward. And when I went through timeline therapy, it was like the washing machine's running at the same time, the kids are fighting in the background, the TV's on, and the laundry machine's all going at the same time, and then all of a sudden it was turned off. And that's what my nervous system felt like after timeline therapy. And it was just like, whew, okay, reset. Like it was just felt so good. So those tools that help you kind of reset your limiting beliefs, your nervous system, help get rid of some of those things that you've had been brought into this world generations after generations of trauma in perhaps your background. It releases your releases like anger and shame and guilt and all those 7 core things that are really like holding us back from letting our authentic self come out. So for me, those tools have been really transformational. And Lindsay, I was laughing when you were saying, about what you watch before you go to bed, because I have been doing that for years without really knowing, just not having an interest in like normal TVs. And we live off the grid, so we can't run our TV all the time. So filling my brain with really great stuff before going to bed. And the other day I was watching the show called Tracker, where they're finding, someone that had been murdered. And I had like the craziest dreams. I was like, oh, wow, okay, it really does matter what you put into your brain before you go to bed. And I just forgotten about that because it's been so much my norm of like the gratitude before bed, and I do a magnified healing practice before bed, and it's just so many interesting things. So I feel the more you're working on yourself, the more you're growing as a person and realigning yourself with your soul aligned business blueprint. You've just, that authenticity just oozes out of you, and you can't be anything other than yourself. And I think that is such a great goal for all of us to be at. You can't be anything other than yourself because it feels weird.
Yeah, absolutely. The what you put in your brain thing is so important. And for me, I can't put learnings in my brain right before bed because my ADHD brain would keep me up all night long. I've tried it. So I can't do the business related television or reading. I have to do something else. But I do tend to lean toward, especially on weeknights, more inspirational type of things that I can watch that are relative and relatable that I can use. So it's really finding the formula of what works for you. And also those stories we tell ourselves, those limiting beliefs, those negative thoughts and feelings, they become, I won't go into neuroscience geek on you right now, which I often do, about neurological firing patterns and all the stuff that makes our brain work the way it does and makes us jump to certain thoughts and feelings when they're not really the right thoughts and feelings. But this is what happens. Your brain is like a computer, and it remembers those thoughts and feelings, and they become the go-to thoughts and feelings and patterns, and they affect our confidence. But again, when we step into who we authentically are, that's when a lot of those limiting beliefs start going away. Comparison is really a problem in today's day and age. Excuse me, let me grab some coffee, not some tea. Comparison in today's day and age is really a huge detriment and it affects our authenticity, and it affects our confidence. It leads to those limiting beliefs and those negative thoughts and feelings because we see these little snippets of someone online and we think, oh, their life's so perfect. I want to be like them. I want to do what they're doing, or I'm just going to buy their 7-part formula that's going to make me a millionaire overnight. No, what's going to help you grow your business smarter, not harder, is being your authentic self. Leaning into that, sharing what you do with passion, purpose, and perspective. That's my formula. I feel like when we show up with passion, when we show up with purpose, and we share unique perspectives, that's when our authentic self really shows. And passion is really the what you do, but not in terms of job titles or how you deliver what you do. It's in terms of the outcomes and how you affect people's lives. Your purpose is your origin story. It's why you do what you do. I was a corporate robot who wasn't being myself and it wasn't working. And my purpose is to help others not make those same mistakes. That's why I'm so passionate about the work I do. And I have my own unique perspectives and approaches, which I won't take our time here to talk about that, and how we do all of that. And I believe that authenticity is at the forefront, not the rules and the best practices of public speaking or communication. Because if you're not being your authentic self, it doesn't matter how perfectly you're doing any of that. It's not going to land. And so showing up with authenticity requires those three things in my mind. I'm going to throw it back to Lindsay and Michelle as we wrap up in these last 5 minutes to just share what are your key takeaways for helping someone who's listening to this, either on the replay or live with us now, to show up authentically. And how do they do that? What are the best tools? What are the best tips that you have for doing that will help them grow their business smarter and not harder?
Michelle, I can go first. In my experience, the best way to show up authentically for yourself is to take the time to figure out who you really are. So that may mean meditation, that may mean journaling, that may mean working with someone like Dr. Tanya or Marianne, but finding what works for you is a key ingredient, and knowing that self-doubt will always creep up. We're human. We all experience self-doubt. I have certain ways to, when I feel the self-doubt coming on, which I do all the time, I phone a friend, or I listen to a podcast, or I have an app that I listen to a meditation. They're 10 minutes, and it really is an immediate shift for me. So finding what works for you to get back to yourself. And for me, getting back to yourself is getting back to your authenticity. And each time you get back to yourself, and I suggest doing it on the daily, you become more and more authentically you. And then one day, I think we all wake up like, hey, this is who I am. And I am unabashedly going to be this person all day, every day, because the world needs it. And I need it. I refuse to walk through life being who I was yesterday, because we only have one life to live. And it really does go so quickly. You know, it's like the days are, what do they say? The days are long and the years are short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's how I would end it. And thank you again for having me here. Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, I loved how you said, then you just, if the more you lean into your authentic self and figure out who you are and put in the work and do it every day and do that exploration, then you can unabashedly show up as yourself. And when you do that, your confidence soars, right? Because when we
I mean, I work with
confident.
athletes. Yeah, sorry. So I work with athletes. And so I am always using the analogy of getting in shape. So if you're not in shape and you go to the gym one day and lift a weight, are you in shape?
Mm-mm.
No, it's a practice. You have to be persistent. And if you miss a day, don't miss two. So, for me, doing this work for myself, has really inspired everyone in my family, so many of my close friends. The quit drinking habit was a really big shift that a lot of people in my world did not like when I first quit. They didn't like that I wasn't partaking with them, but I can tell you that at least 4 of my close friends have since then come to me and said, how did you do it? And I said, well, you have to want to. You can't just do it. It's something you have to want deep inside, and then you just do it. It doesn't become it's not a thing. So that you start to inspire people to create change in their own lives. You can't do it for others, but your energy, your positive energy, and your authenticity do really make a difference in other people's view of themselves and view of the world. So it's only putting good energy out there, in my opinion. And so I'll continue to do that, continue to sit on a panel like this, because this has been very enlightening. So thank you.
Thanks for being here, Lindsay. Michelle.
Lindsay, so many similarities. It's so funny. Yeah, I've quit drinking in the last few years too. And not that I had a problem with it, but it just wasn't in alignment with me anymore. And it didn't make me feel good the next day. And, it's interesting how, I do a lot of work when we're looking at our soul business blueprint with like astrology and numerology and gene keys and human design. And how do we operate in the way that we came into this world that's like in alignment with those things? And, the more you are in that space, the harder it is to go out of it, because it just feels so weird. And so one of the other things I wanted to bring up, a lot of what Lindsay said is what I would also echo and say. There's just so many, it's just so many things that when you're continuously working on yourself, in living your life, then you don't even know how you're influencing others. But so if we're continuously doing work on yourself and improving yourself, it's also having a ripple effect on those that you surround yourself with. And so, there's that saying that you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So my extension of that is really be cautious and be curious about who you are spending your time with, and who do you intentionally get in rooms with, and who do you connect with. And the more amazing people I connect with, just it raises my vibration, and it's just like the next level, the next level, the next level people come into your life. And then it's just, that becomes the norm. And those are the conversations you have. And there's a lot of doom and gloom out there right now. And I look at my Facebook feed and it's filled with like positive light and there's so many great things. And I'm like, I hardly even notice the doom and gloom, because there's so much positivity and light in the world and the people I surround myself with. And I get out to events. I just spent 7 days in Costa Rica on a fam trip. I'm bringing my clients back there in June. We're going on a cruise at the end of this month. And, that's just to say, because that's what I've chosen to do. Those are the people I've chosen to hang out with. Those are the people I choose to surround myself in life with, and their positivity and their light, rubs off on me. And I hope that influence also, that influences them as well, from my light. So doing the work ourselves, being out there, being authentic, being your true self, because you can't be anything otherwise. right? That's my parting words for today, because when you can do that, the world's your oyster, and it's so much more fun over here when you do that kind of stuff and be surrounded by amazing people. Life is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. And so the theme I'm hearing is do the work, put in the work, do the work daily, keep rediscovering yourself over and over and over again. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is to help others do the work, right? To dig deep. That's part of the work I do in finding your authentic voice. And it's not that you need to find it, you have it, but it's buried down in there a lot of times, and we have trouble pulling it out. Just like sometimes we have trouble figuring out exactly who we are and where we should be. And that's okay. It's okay to learn. It's okay to grow. It's okay to discover and rediscover and pivot and change. But the key is to just keep putting in the work day after day, because when we do that and we continue to show up as who we are, our authentic selves, and our confidence soars, we attract the right people, whether that's in our personal life or our professional life. We can naturally grow our businesses, and we just soar, and we just are much more happier and healthier at the end of the day as well. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll bring it back to our good friend, Dr. Davia, and thank Lindsay and Michelle for being here with us today and sharing your wisdom and your stories and opening up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Lindsay, Michelle, y'all are amazing. At the end of our panel discussion, usually we would go into breakout rooms and have little smaller discussions about the things that we've talked about. But this has been so rich and such an outstanding conversation. I didn't want to stop us in our tracks and miss anything. So I'm really, really glad that we got a chance to experience everything that you, Shannon, Lindsay, and Michelle had to share. What I will do, however, is I will make a Facebook Messenger group for all of us who are here on this call, so that you can still have those connections, have those meaningful collaborations happen. And I'm gonna just do what I would usually do. I'm going to do it this way. So let's see. I'm making a suggestion. Dr. Tanya, Michelle, and Nadine, how about between now and the next meeting that y'all connect with each other? And then Lindsay, Marianne, Shannon, and Cindy, how about you guys get a chance to connect with each other? That's how the breakout rooms would have gone. And I'll just add everybody to the Facebook Messenger group at the end, and you can go in and drop your information about yourself and your business so that everybody can know how to connect with each other. At the end of every show, I pull a card. And today we actually pulled the card at the beginning before we came on air, just to set the tone, to sort of center ourselves and give ourselves some positive energy as we launched into today's conversation. This is a beautiful card that I pulled, and it's from Alana Fairchild's Love Your Inner Goddess deck. So if any of you have this, you can hop on over to card number 32, but I will post it inside the Ladies Power Lunch portal, Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. So if you want to see it and you want more information about it, go over there. What it says is, your heart has been chosen by the divine to be a temple for spiritual light, an inner place where grace and healing can dwell. This is very special. A temple is kept clean and pure, scented with sacred perfumes of incense, made beautiful with our feelings of reverence and love for the spirit, kept uncluttered and spacious so that as much spiritual presence as possible can enter. When spirit enters and fills the temple of the heart, things of extraordinary beauty can take place. Even the apparently impossible becomes possible. Clear your heart temple with forgiveness, gratitude, and love for the spirit so that it can fulfill its divine destiny of being a sacred channel for beautiful divine grace. I want to invite everybody to go ahead and unmute, because I feel like this card is so perfect for this conversation about authenticity that we've been having. And I'd love for you to just, Marianne, Dr. Tanya, all of you, Nadine, all of you who are here on the call, just unmute and just share in the context of what we have been discussing today about, making authentic connections. How is this Queen of
Read the
Hearts
card again.
fitting for you? Well, basically, it's saying your heart has been chosen by the divine. In my opinion, that's saying that, being authentic, if you're not being authentic, then you're not sharing the heart that the divine would like to be shared with the world. It's saying that you are a special temple and you need to keep yourself clean and pure and uncluttered and spacious so that spirit can enter. And the way that you declutter and clear is through forgiveness, gratitude, and love. I know I'm saying words that Marianne loves to hear. Those are
I just did
Marianne's
a
favorite.
forgiveness retreat last week.
Oh,
called
okay.
Through Forgiveness, and it was pretty deep. We had a chakra sound, a sound bowl healing, and I was doing emotional freedom technique with people there. And one of the people said, that was better than the years of therapy that I've been through. And when we dive into forgiveness and we really look at what's there for us and release the negativity around it, because it's not easy. Forgiveness can be really hard because people think that forgiving means it was okay what happened, but it's not. That's not what it is. Forgiveness is detaching the emotional component from what happened so that you don't have to keep reliving it over and over again. You know, our emotions are creating our physiology all the time.
Yes.
And so when we have subconscious emotions, which is what I work on, the subconscious emotional memories that are overriding present time, we call them SEMOs, subconscious emotional memories overriding. Then when we address that, then it's like magic. It dissipates all the negative energy, and therefore now you're not attached to the thing that happened anymore. Emotionally, yes, it happened. You're not going to try to forget it because you can't forget things. You can't actively try to forget something. That's impossible. So if you're trying to forget something, you have to remember what it was, then you remember it, then you forget. It doesn't make any sense. So just forgiving and detaching the emotional part of it, and that's why I use the quantum healing techniques I do, because that works really well for that. And when you look up in Tabor's medical encyclopedia, a disease, it'll say etiology, and etiology means how did this start? And almost every disease, it says etiology unknown, because nobody's studying, or they haven't studied for the encyclopedia, what feelings actually do bring on this dis-ease, which left alone turns into disease. So when we start with forgiveness, let's look at, I'm going to do a talk next week called Facing the Shitty Committee and Winning, because that committee in the back of your head that's saying all those negative things, and it always says the same negative things. It doesn't change. It says the same script over and over again. That is the one that you have to like face it and say, I hear you, and now go sit down on the couch. We're not doing this today, and allow it to just sit there and not have a part in your life in that way.
Thanks, Dr. Tanya. And Marianne, I saw that you had unmuted. Did you want to give us one final thought to wrap our show up today?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, being a joyologist. Why do I call myself that? Is because I study joy, because I wasn't following my authenticity, because I didn't know I was joy. Just even, like so many of you all talked about, coming to know who you really are. My spirit guides always tell me, remind them of their goodness, tell them who they are so that they can find their authenticity. And another thing, I was listening to a speaker talking about the energy level of authenticity is one of the most powerful energies that leaves our body.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I feel like
And
that's
I was just like,
the perfect thought to
Yeah.
wrap us up today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Thanks to our outstanding panel. Thanks to everybody who's been working behind the scenes to make sure that this show actually happens today. Thanks to our network, and thanks to all our partners. And if you're not yet a member of Ladies Power Lunch, please join us. Just go to growsmarter.harder.com/login and you'll be in. Thank you all. And I'll see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.